I have a Yahoo that was sent in by Chucky V. Thanks, Chucky. It's by Yahoo Answers user Neil, who asks, sword making resources? I am looking into making a pair of swords for me and my friend. As a heads up, these are not wall hanger swords. They will be used for the purpose they are intended, swinging them at each other.
It's like God intended.
I know the basics of what I am doing, but have run into a few problems. 1, I do not have a forge. This means I cannot personally heat treat it. Is heat treating necessary? I know it helps make the sword harder and less brittle, but would a sword still function safely without it? If not, where could I send this steel off to be heat treated? 2, basic question. What kind of steel is good? I have heard O1 steel, tool steel, is one of the best, but it is very expensive. What are some other high carbon steels that make good swords? 3, edge beveling. Like I said, I don't have a forge. This means I cannot heat the sword and bevel the edges with a hammer. There's a forge shop near me, but I am not as confident with my hammering as I would want to be for beveling. Would a belt sander be able to do it? Thank you so much for your help.
Okay.
I know the basics of sword, but man, do I not have fucking anything for it. Can I use
You're going to want to
oven?
use crucible steel.
What is that?
Step 1, crucible steel. It's where you heat the steel in a crucible, and it makes it so hot that all the extra particulate stuff.
And then
I just watched Legend of the Viking Sword, you guys, so I'm a bit of an expert on this.
You take that molten steel and you throw it on someone you think is a witch. And then
Well, you got to pour it
off.
out in kind of a sword shape.
Okay. But how are they going to superheat this fucking... They put it in a kettle and then put it on like a...
And like your mom's oven, just put it on the cleaning cycle.
Toss
Do
that
like
steel in the crock
cycle.
pot.
That's the thing, is you got to compensate for not being able to get the heat with time, so you throw it in the crock pot for like 18 days at like 350.
Yeah.
Listen, I had a metal molder when I was a kid, and I used to make little wizards with some of those fake gems in it. That's basically the same as the sword you're going to swing at your friend.
Yeah, them shits was sword fight ready, Trav. That pewter. Those little...
Yeah, I mean, you had to be very dainty with it, and you make sure you cast. You don't want to like swing through.
Yeah.
But with your tiny wizard. Wizards at dawn.
If you use stainless steel, then you don't need to like use high carbon steel, needing to heat it and heat treat it. You can just stick with stainless steel.
Wouldn't essentially like a polycarbonate non-stick steel? Wouldn't that just like cut like clean through your friend's neck and like completely decapitate them, and then like just like slide through like butter because it's not like sticking to anything? It's like frictionless. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Wouldn't it just murder your friend were one of you to say not be good at sword fighting?
I think the important thing here is to start with a wooden sword. You gotta
Or just like a wooden stick.
Make a wooden stick first and say, this is a sword that I made. And then if you can say that with a straight face, you're ready for the world of swordcraft.
Because here's the thing, fighting with 2 sticks you pick up off the ground will accomplish the same thing with less negative results.
Well, it makes sweet clanging noises though, like when they do it.
No, you have to do that yourself and go clang, 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 on guard, clang.
I just don't think
Riposte, clang.
It sounds like this person, maybe they can get the metal, but then they can't do it. They're just going to have 2 big steel pipes. And it's like, this is a sword. It's a super non-sharp sword. But it's a sword.
I also don't know how to tell this person, but the small, just infinitely small bit I know about like forging and like blacksmithing, you don't start off with like a sword-shaped piece of metal. You start off with like a brick-shaped like ore.
Can I get just like a piece of metal already in the shape of the sword, and can you like put it on like a sword handle and make sure it's balanced and super sharp, and then I'll just take it from there.
And then I'll just hammer on it a couple of times and proclaim it done, and then have it rise out of like a lake or something. And I'll pick it up and I'll go insane.
Oh my God. So I've been researching extensively to try to find some information about making swords. And I found this page from anvilfire.com, and they have sword myths / fiction. So let me hit you guys with some sword myths.
Yeah, what have I been getting
fiction.
wrong about swords this whole time?
Is it actual / fiction? Because
No,
I feel like that's
it's
really
swords.
appropriate with swords.
Swords myths and sword fiction.
The Buster
Blood.
sword from Final Fantasy VII and a samurai sword. They met one day. He said, "You looking really good, Buster sword." And then they clanged.
They clanged and clanged.
I'm gonna clang!
I'm gonna clang all over your sheath.